Hello and welcome to Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. I'm your host, Coach Monica. I'm joined today by Coach Darcy, and we are here to guide you through the ins and outs of a lifestyle that's transformed not just our lives, but the lives of countless women navigating the waves of perimenopause and menopause. Whether you're here to shed weight, understand your body better, or simply find a community that gets it, you're in the right place. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we tackle the hot issues of today. Hey, everybody. It is Coach Monica, and I am here by myself in the studio today. I am going to dive really deep into something that is really close to my heart. At the end of the day, I think you're going to say the same thing. I'm going to introduce you to two topics, and I want you to begin to tear apart the meaning of each of these topics. And then we're going to put them back together at the end of the show. Food addiction versus eating addiction. If you have ever felt like food has a grip on you, like it's controlling every part of your life, instead of the other way around, then this show is going to be for you. You see, I have been there. I know the struggle and I know the shame that it brings. I know the frustration. I know the cycle. I never had words for this particular topic until just about a year ago. I began my journey by just going with a meal plan. I knew that I had to do something because I couldn't fit on a roller coaster with my newly engaged son who just wanted to hang out with us for the day. So I knew I had to do something, and I was desperate to do anything. And so I was really, really good at following instructions. I gave up sugar, and then I gave up the hidden sugars. Then I gave up the white flours. Then I gave up the white stuff, right? All of the sugars, all of those things, the processed food, the junk foods, I gave all of that up. And I did a really good job. I did so good that I lost 130 pounds and I felt great. I reversed my high blood pressure. I reversed my metabolic diseases, and I was living the life. And then I came across this word, food addiction. Now, when I say food addiction, that encompasses sugar addiction. It encompasses ultra processed food addiction. It encompasses all of those things. So when I say those are interchangeable. But there's another word that I want to bring into the mix that maybe we haven't thought about. Eating addiction. So I want to tell you, I know the struggle and I know the shame that all of this brings. And sometimes the shame is outward. It's our obesity, that we wear the shame on the outside of our bodies, but we don't talk about the inner shame and the addiction that goes along with it. And so that's what I want to talk about today, because I know the freedom that's waiting on the other side for you. So let's talk about food addiction and eating addiction, what they are, how they're different, and most importantly, how you can break free. Now, I need to give you a full disclosure. I have a seat at the table with both sides of this trap, and I'm going to tell you how. This isn't going to be easy to hear. Addiction never is. But I promise I'm here with you, and together we can face the hard truths and we can find a way forward. Let me talk about a story that we all know too well. I want you to picture this. It's been a long, stressful day. You're exhausted. You're overwhelmed. And all you want is to feel better. So you reach for that bag of chips or that pint of ice cream. Some of you are salty, some of you are sweet. Before you know it, it's gone. And you're feeling left worse than you were when you started. Does that sound familiar? Or maybe it's not even about the food itself. Maybe you find yourself eating just to fill a void, to numb the emotions that you don't want to face. Maybe you're bored. Maybe it's just noon and you've always eaten at noon. And so you're comfortable with that. You see, that's the difference between food addiction and eating addiction. And understanding it is the first step to break free. I've walked this path myself. There was a time when sugar felt like my best friend and my worst enemy all at once. I'd crave it, I'd binge on it, then I'd hate myself for it. I'd crave it again, I'd binge on it, and then I'd hate myself for it. And each time I would sink lower and lower and lower. But here's the thing, it wasn't just about the sugar. Sometimes it was just about the act of eating, using food to cope with stress and sadness and even boredom. There are some days that I find that I could eat a pile of Brussels sprouts. That's weird, I know. If you're nodding along, you know this. You know you're not alone and you're not broken. You're human and there's a way out of this. Now, on the food addiction side, chemical addiction, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But that side of the aisle will tell you, when's the last time you overate veggies? When's the last time you overate steak? Well, I had to think about this and I had to really process this in my training. And I had to really ask myself, I was one of those people. And it wasn't until a precious friend on the Bookface posted a picture of her eating a head of lettuce, like an apple. And as I've been trained on food addiction and how it's a chemical addiction and how, you're chemically addicted to some foods, I was like, my resistance fought her. And I'm like, but we don't overeat veggies. But we do. It was the act of eating. So I began to explore this, and I began to look at my own client base. And I began to look and look at their pictures and look at my coaching and looking at the process with them. And I could see it. So we're going to start and we're going to talk about food addiction, the chemical pull that you can't ignore. Now, those on the emotional eating side will say that this does not exist. And I can tell you it does. There are PET scans and there are chemical tests and there are blood tests and there are screens that you can take to prove that there is a chemical pull that you can't ignore. So let's start with food addiction. This is when your brain is hooked on specific foods, okay? Usually the ones loaded with sugar, salt, or unhealthy fats, the seed oils. It's not just liking these foods, it's craving them in a way that feels out of control. Your brain's reward system lights up like a Christmas tree and you eat them, releasing dopamine and making you feel good temporarily. But just like with drugs or alcohol, the high fades and you're left wanting more. Here's the hard truth. Food addiction is real and it's powerful. Studies show that up to 20% of people may struggle with it. And for those with binge eating disorders, that number can be as high as 77%. It's not about willpower. It's about brain chemistry. Your brain is broken. That's why moderation doesn't work. You can't just have one bite any more than an alcoholic can have just one drink. It's all or nothing. And for me, that means zero sugar, zero processed junk, and zero unhealthy fats. This is the foundation of my ketogenic approach. It cuts out the addictive foods so you can finally break free. So I am really good at that training. I got my HMA degree from Bitten Johnson. I took all of the courses. I am an expert there. There's another part of my practice as I have opened my food addiction treatment center that I was struggling with because I knew in my heart, I have two sides of my program. I have food addiction and I have weight loss. And I can't ignore the fact that when I walk over to my weight loss section of my practice, 90% of them are addicted, maybe not chemically. So, what was missing in my practice? This is what I want to talk to you about: eating addiction. When food becomes your emotional escape. So, let's talk about it. Are you ready? This one's different, and in some ways, even trickier. Eating addiction isn't about the food itself, it's about the act of eating. It's a behavioral addiction, it's a process addiction. It's when you turn to food to cope with emotions, stress, loneliness, anxiety, and even happiness. You may not crave a specific food, you just need to eat something, anything, to feel better. It's a behavior, a habit, a way to numb or distract yourself from what's really going on inside. I remember nights when I would sit on the couch, not hungry, but eating anyway because I was stressed out about work or I was feeling lonely. It wasn't about the food, it was about comfort, it was about the routine. And that's the thing with eating addiction. It can happen with any food, even the healthy stuff. You could be binging on carrots or kale chips, but it's driven by emotion and it's still a problem. Some people like to call this volume eating, and I am going to touch on volume eating addiction in another podcast, but they have very, very similar attributes. Here's the hard truth: you can't out diet an emotional problem. No amount of keto or clean eating will fix it if you don't address the root cause. And that's why my program includes cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT is what some people call it. We do these exercises to help you untangle the emotional knots that keep you stuck in these patterns. Now, some of you are scared right now because you listened to my first section of this podcast on food addiction, sugar addiction, carbohydrate addiction. And you're like, yeah, coach, that's me. And then I opened up another can of worms and talked about emotional eating and eating addiction. And you're like, oh crap, that is me. So, coach, where the heck do you put me? What treatment are you going to give me? Because maybe I'm the only person in this world who struggles with both. So let's talk about what happens when there's an overlap, when you're battling both. And my friend, it is more of you than not that struggle with this. Here's where it gets really tough. Many of us are dealing with both food addiction and eating addiction at the same time. Sometimes people say that food addiction is a cursor, a prerequisite to eating addiction, or vice versa. You have one that causes the other, right? You might crave sugary foods because of the chemical pull. And if you're watching the news lately, you'll understand how many chemicals we in America have in our food system that do cause food addiction, right? The palate, the softness of the food creates a food addiction. So we've got a lot of stuff going against us anyway, just living in this country, right? So you might crave sugary foods because of that chemical pull, but you also at the same time could be using eating as a way to cope with emotions. It's like being hit from two sides. And when you feel that way, it can feel impossible to break free. But I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something. You can tackle both. It takes hard work. It takes honest work. It takes radically honest work, but it is possible because I've seen it in my clients and I've lived it myself. One of my clients, Sarah, came to me addicted to sugar and emotionally eating every night. And she felt hopeless, like she'd never escape. But with the structured ketogenic plan to cut out the addictive foods and the weekly CBT exercises that we would do together to address her emotional triggers, she was transformed. 3 months later, she was 20 pounds lighter, but more importantly, she felt free mentally, emotionally, and physically. The treatment is different, yet the same. How'd that one work for you? The treatment I give my clients is different, but it's the same. Different timing. Okay. I'm going to talk about some hard truths that you need to hear before I talk about the treatment. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. My pun there was intended. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. In fact, you don't hire me if you want a sugarcoating coach. I don't do that. If you're struggling with food addiction or eating addiction, there are some hard truths that you need to face. The first thing is moderation does not work for an addict, period. You can't have just a little. You just can't. If your brain is wired to crave more, you can't have just a little. It's like asking a smoker to have just one cigarette. It's all or nothing for most of us, which means cutting out the addictive foods completely, the foods that trigger us. That's where radical honesty comes in. Many of us and many of you are screaming at the microphone right now saying, Coach, I can handle it. I can handle just a little bit. Well, my question to you comes from, I believe it's Dr. Phil. How's it worked for you? How is it working for you? Ah, ouch. Number 2, you can't outrun your emotions with food. If you're eating to cope, no diet will fix that. You have to face what's driving you to the fridge, whether it's stress, loneliness, past trauma. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Number 3, you need a plan, not just willpower. Willpower fades. He is so fickle. He comes out saying, oh, I got this. I got you there, babe. And then he fades the minute you see that donut at the workplace table, right? Willpower fades, especially when you're tired, you're stressed, or emotional. Again, some of this can be great fun stuff. It can be memories made with family, right? That's why my program includes a structured ketogenic diet to eliminate the cravings and the hard work in the CBT exercises, because we need to help you build new coping skills. It's not about being perfect. It's about being prepared, and it's about being radically honest. But here's the flip side. You are stronger than you think. You've already taken the first step by listening this far into the podcast and by admitting that something needs to change. My friend, that takes courage, and I am so proud of you for that. So, what do we do? I decided as a food addiction specialist that I could not just deal with one side of the fence. And there are a lot of people. In fact, when I got my certificate for my HMA, there were a lot of people who will not take eating disorders. They will not take the emotional eating side of things. These two topics are so intertwined. I can't not deal with both of them. I can't. I have to have a realistic approach that probably 90% of my clientele that is in my weight loss program are addicted. They're either a food addict or they're an eating addict. And I have to deal with that because I've got to be able to give them the tools. And so here's a little bit of an example of how I help my clients. In my practice, I don't just throw a diet plan at you and hope for the best. I've been where you are and I know what it takes to break free. I have designed a 3-month program to tackle both the physical and the emotional sides of addiction. When you enroll into my food addiction treatment center, I give you a very, very big assessment. That's the first thing you do when you come into my program. I don't even have my first session with you until I have this form filled out. It'll take you about an hour, sometimes a little bit more. I need to get inside your head. I need to know what makes you tick. I need to know your past, your future, and your present. I need to know it all. And I also leave you with an emotional eating scale as well as the YFAST, the Yale Food Addiction Scale. I give you both of those screenings. And then I am able to assess as your coach which side of the aisle you are on. Probably most of you have some tendencies for both. So when you're in my program, you will have both sides of the healing treatment. We're going to start you out on a ketogenic diet. I have a 21-day food addiction meal plan that you're automatically on. I need you to give me 21 days where we cut out the sugar, processed carbs, and break the chemical addiction. First thing on both sides of the aisle is containment. We've got to get the drug out of your system. You'll eat real, nourishing foods like steak and butter, bone broth, foods that fuel your body without triggering cravings. There will be nothing sweet to your mouth for 21 days. We're going to remove the drug. You are going to feel it. It is a detox process, and I have a sample schedule of what you will be feeling. You're going to be feeling all of the feels. We talk about something in my program called the red dog. The red dog is your addict brain. Red dog is both on the emotional side and he is also on the chemical side. Red dog will be barking. He will be telling you you're going to break the rules. You're not good enough. He will tell you anything he can to get the drug. So we go through the ketogenic diet for 21 days. I am watching you. We are meeting every week, and I'm watching you through this healing process. I'm watching how you handle it. I'm watching what your withdrawals are like. I'm watching it all. Okay. Then after that, we go into the CBT exercises. Each week, we will work on practical tools to rewire your brain. We're going to go through thought records. We're going to go to urge surfing. We're going to do it all. These exercises will help you manage the emotional triggers and help you learn how to not be dependent on your emotions to tell you what to do. We're going to help you manage your emotional triggers without turning to food. And then we give you a support system. You're not alone. I will recommend groups like our Overeaters group for community support. You will have myself and you'll have Coach Darcy to take you through this, as well as the amazing group that we have cheering you on every step of the way. We meet weekly. We meet Mondays at 7 p.m. And we alternate weeks and we will go through the 12-step program. We will go through some CBT exercises and we just walk through it together. But we start through a screening process. Like I said, we use tools like the Yale Food Addiction Scale and the Addiction Like Eating Behavioral Scale to understand exactly what you're dealing with. We got to be honest. And from there, we create the plan that is tailored to you. Everyone has a different plan because your journey is unique. And you deserve a solution that fits you. I know it feels impossible right now. I know the shame you're feeling. I know the guilt you're feeling. The feeling that you will never escape this. But let me tell you something, as someone who did this 8 years ago, freedom is possible. I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in my clients, and I see it in you. One of my clients, Brenda, used to cry herself to sleep after every binge. She thought she was broken beyond repair. After 12 weeks of working together with me, she sent me a photo of herself hiking, a dream she'd given up on years ago because of her weight and her shame. She was glowing, not just because of the weight she had lost, but because she'd found herself again. You can too. My friend, it won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. And I'll be with you every step of the way. If you're tired of feeling trapped by food, if you're ready to face the hard truths and do the work, we're here for you. I want you to book a consultation with me or with Coach Darcy, and let's talk about how we can help you break free. You don't have to do this alone, my friend. Remember, you are stronger than your cravings. You are braver than your fears and more capable than you know. If you have any questions, please go to our website, kmhealthcoaching.org. Click under programs and go to our Addiction Treatment Center. That page will take you directly to our calendars. We can do a consultation call with you and get you started as soon as tomorrow. I want you to know there's hope. And I want you to know you're not crazy. I used to think I was crazy. And I used to be one who was like, I don't feel like I am chemically addicted to food, when I really was. I didn't feel like it. But I also didn't have a group over on the emotional eating side of things. I didn't have anybody over there who was willing to say, hey, there is also an eating addiction. So I felt trapped in between two worlds until I broke free. I want you to know you can too. Run to the website, grab an appointment on our schedule, and we'll get you set up with your specific treatment plan right away. You are so loved. I hope and I pray that this podcast has brought you some needed healing and some needed hope, because you are worth it. We will talk to you next podcast. Give us a shout out. Would you take just a minute and give us a review on our Apple podcast? That really helps. And then if you know of somebody who struggles with food addiction, would you be willing to share this podcast with them? We want to get as much hope out there as we can. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Hey, it's Coach Monica here. Guess what? If you're fed up with feeling stuck in your battle with weight or food, I've got something just for you. Check out our free Facebook groups. Over at Food Addiction and Recovery, I'm over there waiting for you. We're going to walk this journey together. It's about getting real, sharing our stories, and lifting each other up. We're in this together every step of the way. And if you're curious about changing your life with keto, the Weight Loss Project is where you want to be. Coach Darcy is amazing. And together, we're not just talking about losing weight. We're talking about finding a happier, healthier you. So, what do you say? Are you ready to join us? The links are in the show notes below, and I'm telling you, this is more than an invite. It is the start of something great. We cannot wait to see you over there.